What's up, everyone? This is part 4 on how to not do the snatch. This is the limp wrist. So I'm going to run clip and let's break it down.
Occasionally. So this.
Okay, so for the most part, the limp wrist is going to be more of a habit fixer. It's actually potentially very dangerous. It seems like sort of like, I've got everything else down. This seems like a minor problem, but this can actually wreak havoc not only on the snatch itself, but also on your shoulder. So let's break this down. As I hike my bell, okay, I'm in good position here. I'm going to drive my legs down. I'm pulling backwards, so far so good. As my bell comes to right here, it's kind of hard to see because it's a little bit blurry. My arm is in a nice straight line, okay? Meaning, if I said I want you to punch a punching bag, your wrist is in a straight line with the rest of your arm. However, the second the bell flips around, I let my forearm muscles, the flexors of my forearm completely turn off, and my wrist immediately, boom, gets slopped backwards. And you can just see it, you know? My arm is nice and straight till there, and then my wrist gets folded backwards. That does a few things. The first thing it does is it breaks a chain in my arm. It's very common for someone to turn their wrist off. They'll also turn their elbow off. They'll turn their shoulder off, meaning that they don't get a full lockout at the top. The bell never really hits that sticking point. It sort of just floats up there, kind of bounces there, then gets pushed forward. And that in itself can lead to a whole chain of other events, but I won't get into that. The main thing is it causes leakage in a chain of tension that we do not want. The other thing is, well, let's add something in while we're here. It also makes my downstroke really kind of goofy. When I'm going here, I don't need to worry about like flicking the bell. I'm gonna let gravity do that. As the bell falls, it's gonna naturally flip over my wrist on my downstroke. It throws the timing off on that a little bit, not terribly, but it will make that part a little bit more complicated than it needs to be. The main factor here is as I'm coming up, I do my pull through. Here's my reception, and then the back float. There is some amount of, we'll just say, force coming backwards at the top, but it's really minimal. I do snatches. I never once feel like my shoulder is getting yanked backwards. If my arm stays, or let's say if my wrist stays nice and locked out, my sticking point is going to be right here. Because I'm allowing my wrist to turn off and get flopped backwards, when that happens, there's more force pulling this direction here. That's going to mean that your shoulder, every single time you do a snatch, your shoulder is getting a little bit of a jolt backwards. The bell will sit on the forearm in a weird way. It's actually hard on the wrist in the sense of you just don't want to do that to your wrist. It's kind of cranking it backwards each time. So when I'm at the very top, my wrist should be in neutral position compared to the rest of my arm, meaning if you're at the very top and you pointed at the ceiling, you should be able to point directly at the ceiling. I've seen some people that have been trained to snatch with their, catch the bell with their hand open. I don't recommend that, especially if you're brand new, because that really, I noticed that problem a lot more with people that catch the bell at the top with an open hand. So I really would recommend catching the bell with a closed fist. And then imagine at the very top, if you're punching a punching bag, is your wrist in that solid position or is your wrist a noodle? An easy way to kind of test this is slow down your snatches at the top. You don't have to time everything. Not everything's a snatch test. If you're doing a snatch, maybe do a snatch, pull through, catch, and then pause at the top. Just hang out here for, maybe do a set of 5 snatches, but pause at the top each time for anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds, and just ask yourself, am I in good position here? If you're going through them so fast, you might be doing this every single time and never even knowing it because you never take enough time at the top to go through your checks. So if I get to here and I pause, I can go, okay, is everything lined up? I can go, foot to hand or vice versa, but I can go joint by joint and go, am I in good position? By the time I get to my wrist, it's like, oh no, my wrist turned off. But I'm taking the time to identify that. So this is really going to be more of a build this habit in, build it in as soon as you can. Because I've had people that have been snatching for years like this, and it creates a lot more problems than you may think. All right, this is the floppy wrist. Don't do it. You'll hate it. More to come.